Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our second edition of Travel on the Couch. My name's Bozich, and I'm the Head of Australia and South Pacific for House of Travel. And with me is Daniel Wright from Tourism Australia.
Hello, Julia. Hello, everyone out there. Thanks for joining today, and thanks for having
G'day,
me.
Dan.
G'day. That's what I should have said.
Yeah. So Dan and I, it's fair to say, we've travelled extensively around Australia. And today, both on and off the tracks, but today we're really going to talk to you about the rail journeys of how to explore a really, really big country. So starting off with the big three.
Yeah, that's right. And like you said, Jules, it's a big country, Australia. We have so many reasons to travel, wildlife, food and drink, events, all of the great coastal scenery as well. But traveling by rail is quite unique. And like you say, there's a luxurious way of doing that as well. And that is with our 3 Journey Beyond trains that we have over in Australia. So the 3 that you can see on screen there, I think this map really helps to showcase just how much these train journeys traverse the country. So you have the GAN, the Indian Pacific, and the Great Southern. So looking at each of these individually, we will go into off-train experiences, we'll go into what life on board is like today, and also talk a little bit about the pre and post, what you might like to do before and or after these journeys to really make sure you get the most out of your trip to Australia.
Yeah.
But first up, we have, before we jump into each individual train, I just want to note the time of year these travel.
Yeah.
So the Indian Pacific is all year round, which is great. Nothing to worry about there. You can travel whenever you like.
Yeah.
The GAN and the GAN Expedition, and we'll talk about the difference between those 2 in particular shortly. They travel from March to November, so essentially over our winter here in New Zealand. And then finally, when the GAN isn't running, you've got the Great Southern, which is the newest of the trains, and that runs from December through to February. And as you can see, the distances
there are some pretty big journeys there. Yeah,
exactly. You are traveling across country, so there's a lot to see,
and I think each of them has their own personality. You can see in these images here, this is the GAN, and this is your real heart of Australia. You're going through the red centre kind of thing.
Exactly.
And then the Indian Pacific, she's a beautiful train, a much more coastal kind of vibe. Much more kind of outback, regional Australia vibe.
Yep.
And then our Great Southern, and that's, for me, sort of a more foodie focus, maybe a little bit of kind of coast, food, art, history.
Yeah, and here's the Great Southern on screen here that you can see. Obviously, very green compared to the other 2 images. And when you look at the map, you can see why. So you're going through from the GAN, you're going top to bottom, Darwin to Adelaide. So that is a 2-night total journey on the traditional GAN. So
Adelaide to Darwin.
Exactly. Adelaide to Darwin is 2 nights. So you stop in Alice Springs halfway, and you can actually just stop in Alice Springs or vice versa, or start there. So you can break it up halfway if you want, if you just want the 1-night journey. But 2 nights top to bottom. But the GAN Expedition, which is slightly different, that's southbound, and that is 3 nights. So it's a little bit longer, and you get a little bit more in terms of off-train experiences,
which we'll get into.
Which we'll touch on.
So before we actually launch into the next part, we're going to pop up a poll for you guys. We're keen to see what you guys are thinking. I know we've only just talked about, very briefly showed you one image, but let's just see what people are thinking that they might like to do. You'll see the results as they come through. But one of the most common questions that I think we get asked is, so I know which train, but which direction do I go in? So for me, on the GAN, I'm a fan of the Expedition, the southbound journey from Darwin to Adelaide, because of the fact that it does give you a bit more time. There's 3 nights on board, but also a bit more time in Alice Springs to explore. And also you get a full day in the quirky little town of Coober PD. On the northbound journey from Adelaide to Darwin, what I do think is far more obvious and far more dramatic is the change of scenery from the south coast as you go through the heart of Australia up to the tropical north. And I do love that. There's just, I guess, it's a taster. And as you pointed out, when you do the northbound journey, that's when you can get off and in Alice Springs and maybe stay there for a bit and go exploring and things like that. Maybe get to Uluru. And I think one of the things people don't realise about the GAN is that it doesn't go to Uluru.
No, it doesn't. And that's the funny thing. Like a lot of people, you can see it on the map there. if you're just looking at a map of Australia, you see Alice Springs and Uluru, they look pretty close, right? But that's 500 kilometers between the two. That's a 5-hour drive. So if you're not familiar with the center of Australia, it is absolutely Australia's spiritual home. Uluru is a sacred site for the Anangu people, the local Indigenous people of the area. And there's a sacred sort of energy there, right? So if you are stopping halfway, and if you're starting halfway in Alice Springs, we definitely recommend including Uluru. But on the GAN expedition, when you are stopping in Alice Springs, so the off-train experiences, which we'll talk about shortly, are all included. You can actually upgrade some of your off-train experiences. And in Alice Springs, one of the upgrades is a scenic flight over Uluru.
Which is incredible.
But we've talked a bit about the GAN, and I think maybe that's not a bad thing, because looking at those poll results, it looks like most people...
Pretty popular.
Yeah, so what are we looking at there, Jules?
So we've got 69% of you looking to go to the GAN, 23% on the Indian Pacific, and just 7% at the moment on the Great Southern. Probably doesn't surprise me about this. I think the GAN is a really popular choice for a lot of reasons. So let's talk a little bit about those off-train experiences then. So the GAN expedition and the GAN both stop in this amazing part of the world, Katherine. And this is specifically just a little way out of Katherine is Nitmaluk Gorge. And gosh, it's beautiful. And then you get into Alice Springs, which we've touched on. There are lots of different options, from bike riding on an e-bike to walks to cultural experiences. There's all sorts to choose from when you're in the GAN. When you're on the expedition or the GAN. And for me, the experience at the end of the day, when you're on the expedition, which is the amazing Aussie barbecue, this is a highlight for me anyway. So this is the old telegraph station. And you've got the white tablecloths, you've got amazing food, a live band, and they actually bring an astronomer from the local observatory in Alice Springs to do a stargazing talk with his laser. It's incredible. It is a really, really cool experience.
And that's, I think, what surprises people about the trains often is that as you're journeying through, you're not just passing through by train. They're really the team at Journey Beyond is so good at integrating experiences with local people, local experts, whether it be wildlife, whether it be stargazing, as you mentioned, and then the food and drink to go along with that as well. You're trying local produce from around the country as you're passing through that area. So it all adds up to a really special package, essentially.
Next stop along the way on the expedition, so your southbound journey, is the quirky little town of Kupapiti, which I'd mentioned before. So most of the population here live underground all year round, just because of the heat. It is an opal mining town, but it's really fascinating. If you're on the northbound journey from Adelaide to Darwin, you don't stop in Kupapiti. You pull in early one morning in Marla, which is not a lot around. It's just a siding, but you get the most spectacular sunrise. It's pretty special. And then you carry on to Alice Springs and carry on from there. So what about the Indian Pacific?
Yes. So as I said, we've spent quite a bit of time on the GAN, which I think is fair. It is certainly the most popular within our audience, and very popular in general. It's got a lot of history, the GAN. But looking at the Indian Pacific as well, as we talked about earlier, some of the stops and getting through the outback areas, if you look at the map once again, you're getting into areas where if you were to self-drive this, it would just take so long, and it'd be incredible for sure. But this is a way that you can see so much and get into parts of Australia that you just can't reach on your own, or even by a coach tour or a private tour as quick if you're traveling by road. So it does really try and break it up quite easily for you. But the stops along the way. So we're going to travel eastbound here. So traveling from Perth to Sydney, Indian Ocean to Pacific Ocean. You can see that you travel actually through Adelaide. So Adelaide is the hub for rail travel. So you can break the journey up there again, much like with the GAN. The Indian Pacific can be broken up. But double check when you are looking to plan these trips how long you'd like to be on the trains, because again, just like the GAN, there are differences to how long you travel. So from Perth to Sydney, the eastbound journey is 4 nights, 5 days. And then the other direction, Sydney through to Perth, is 3 nights, 4 days. So it's 1 night less, and the stops match that as well.
Yeah.
So if we're traveling eastbound rather, the first stop you will head to is Kalgoorlie, which is famous for the gold mining history, and you can visit the super pit there. Then you stop along the Nullarbor Strait in the ghost town of Cook.
Yes.
And this is where, depending on the time of year, you'll have, because it's a year-round service, through the winter months, you'll have canapes around a bonfire, which is lovely and obviously warms you up nicely while you're overlooking the night sky. But in the summer months, when it's a little bit warmer, you do have an open air dining experience as well. So again, they're catering it to when you're there and what kind of season and what the environment is, what's suitable for the environment that time of year. Then you travel on to the very quirky Broken Hill. And if anyone has seen, this isn't Broken Hill, this is the Barossa.
Yeah, we do stop in the Barossa.
Yes. So Broken Hill, if you've seen Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, you might be familiar with Broken Hill. You might have seen some images from it, but that is again, it's a mining town, but it's its own artistic flair as well. Then traveling through Adelaide and onto the Barossa Valley, which is one of the world's premier wine regions, and certainly probably Australia's most well-known wine region. It's an incredible opportunity to get out there, especially if you haven't been before. If you have been before, you'll be well aware of how much you want to travel back there because it is very special. And then moving on after the Barossa onto the Blue Mountains before you hit Sydney. So again, look at the iconic sort of imagery, the different sort of diverse experiences you're having along the way. Back to the map here, that is the reminder, that is the eastbound journey. So the westbound journey is slightly shorter, slightly less stops, but you do have some crossover there as well.
So I'll just touch very quickly on the Great Southern. Won't take too much time because I know we need to keep moving. But Adelaide to Brisbane, for me, this is kind of more your nature and history and art kind of focus. So you have a stop in the Grampians National Park and in Canberra, where you can do a visit of the Anzac War Memorial or the Parliament Building. And then you have another day in Coffs Harbour before you head up to Brisbane. And then on the reverse, if you leave from Brisbane, you've got the beautiful Hunter Valley region. Now that can be wine tasting in the Hunter Valley, of course. The Semillon is beautiful. Or you can head over to the coast and Port Stephens, really fun. Lots of fun things to do there. Newcastle's quite an upcoming town there. And then you get more food in the Greater Victoria kind of experiences that they offer. There's lots to choose from. So all I'd say was, before you choose which direction, I would really work with your house of travel consultant on what the off-train experiences are, so you can really delve into what is it that you would like to see on your journey, and because they are quite different. So I think we'll just leave the kind of that part there and move into what it's like, life's like on board.
Yes. Oh my God. I think like you said, we've talked about off-train, which is great because it's not just about being on the train. There's so much to offer. But reminder that we are traveling on a train. So what does that look like? That's not what it looks like. That's Melbourne.
That's UCG.
That's one of the stops along the Great Southern. Which you can actually stop in Melbourne as well. That's something to note, that when you're traveling southbound from Brisbane to Adelaide, you can actually stop your journey in Melbourne as well. So there is, again, a little bit of diversity to the amount of days and the options there. But you really can't go wrong with these stops. As you can see, the scenery is incredible.
They've done a great job of putting it all together.
But on board, train, yes.
So we don't have any imagery because of it's the newest kind of release is the 2 amazing luxurious suites. There's 2 per train. You have to book them well in advance, but they are incredible. Then we get into what we can see on screen at the moment is Platinum. So Platinum has a double bed in it, has a full-size ensuite. You get more space because you are on a train, but you get more space, and there's a few extra luxury amenity services. This is where you get your Bollinger when you come back to the train after your excursions, as opposed to a beautiful glass of bubbles in the Gold. So on the Gold service, so we have 2, Gold Twin and Gold Premium. Key difference between those is Gold Premium The cabins have had a bit of a refurbishment of late, and there's a few extra bits and pieces. You might get a few more choices on your meal plan at the dining carts. We're having a little technical. There, maybe one back. Oh, sorry, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, we weren't able to move.
There we go.
So that's the gold.
So we're waiting for this. So this is the gold, and the gold premium is the key thing to hear is there are bunk beds. So what you do need to understand is that somebody needs to be okay about just climbing a couple of steps up onto the top bunk. But I can reassure you, these beds are super comfortable. Yep. They use amazing linens. It's great. But yes, you are on a train. It's compact, and the bathroom's pretty compact. I kind of liken it to like a really good sized bathroom on like a motorhome or something like that. Yep. But the beds are super comfy. Don't be worried about the bunks. And whilst you're having breakfast in the morning, they convert your bunks back into a couch so you can sit in your carriage if you choose to. But actually, most people choose, I'll touch as well, there is, for our solo travellers, there's a single cabin. Single cabin's a bit more narrower, single bed, obviously. And the key thing there is shared bathroom facilities. But one of the things I do think we should talk about is the lounge and dining carts, because they're really cool.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think really good to spend some time there on the different cabins. The gold is incredibly comfortable, as you said, but there is the bunk beds. So in terms of the platinum,
it's a factor.
If you are wanting that double bed service, then look at the platinum.
Yeah, and platinum sells out the fastest because there's fewer of them. So I'd definitely be booking early. Like if you want to travel next year, I'd be booking very soon.
But life on board doesn't just stop in the room. Plenty of opportunity to get up and around. Dining cart, as you mentioned, and as you can see on screen here.
Beautiful food.
Yeah, the food is just, again, we talked about the local produce, but just how it's presented and the quality, incredible. Yeah. And then you have the lounging areas as well. The bar is open most hours of the day, Jules?
Always. It really is. Honestly, it's really, really good. I remember Rory, my on board, Rory, he was fantastic. He served me my flat white in the morning, and he served me my nightcap at night. And I spent a lot of time on the various times I've been on the train. I've spent a lot of time here, and I do remember chatting to this man. He was 87 years old. He'd done the GAN a few times, and he was incredible. It was so fascinating to chat to him. He'd traveled the world, and what you do get is that kind of camaraderie, and everyone starts chatting and kind of engaging with each other. You're out on the excursions together. Everyone's kind of getting the same wow at the same time.
Yeah, and that's it. The camaraderie on board between passengers, but the staff as well.
The service,
You really do feel like you are on a special journey together. And again, it just adds to that really uniqueness of this offering, I guess.
And I'll just touch really quickly. So moving around on the train, so you don't have to jump from carriage to carriage. It's all enclosed. It's really simple. I did see some staff helping people who were maybe a little more unsteady on their feet, had a few mobility issues. The staff will just help them come down to the lounge carriage and on and off the trains, whatever they need. You are sleeping on board a train. So if you're a bit sensitive to noise, take your earplugs. I think that's probably the one thing most people, my first night, I was a little bit jealous of lots of people with hearing aids. But you do kind of first night, worst night, and then suddenly it kind of lulls you to sleep and you actually really enjoyed sleeping on the train. But it just takes a little bit to get used to. So
we talked about the train, we talked about what it's like on board, we've talked about the stops. Should we go into pre and post? Because it doesn't just, your holiday doesn't start and end with the train. You really want to build out your journeys to make sure you get the most of the destinations you're traveling to and from.
I think that's where a lot of people kind of don't take the opportunity. They often will stay in the cities pre and post the train trip, but to me, the real Australia is actually beyond that, and getting a little bit further afield. So, Dan, I know South Australia is very dear to your heart.
It is.
So do you want to give us your spin?
Absolutely. I mean, there'll be a few images here, but this is the Murray River region, which is really popular with Kiwis. You can do houseboating, as you can see there, nature walks. You can even do a package deal with Murray River Trails where you are walking daily, but staying on a luxury houseboat.
Actually, that's one of my favourite experiences. The luxury houseboat is And it pairs really beautifully with the GAN, same time frames, sort of similar level of service and depth of knowledge. And if we've got anyone who loves birds, our twitches and bits and pieces, this is absolutely the experience for you. And they do a couple of different experiences, safari and walks and things, but yeah, great. If we can, I'll get the team to drop a link to that package for the Murray River Trails, because it is an awesome experience. So yeah, anyway.
No, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, staying in Adelaide, if you're close to there, we talked about the Barossa. There's other great wine regions close by there. There's also Kangaroo Island off the coast, which is known as Australia's Galapagos. So that's a really good option.
Really good gin.
Yes, a very good gin. And then the other side of the GAN, if you're finishing in Darwin, you've got places like Kakadu National Park, which is on screen here. Arnhem Land, which is the sort of next frontier of national
Litchfield National Park.
Litchfield National Park.
I do think here, if you don't do at least day tours or an extended tour with a local guide, I think you miss out. I think you need the depth of their knowledge, their stories, the history, to understand the land. But it's such a fascinating area that I do think doing some guided tours here is really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll keep moving through some of these images here as well, just to really give you a flavour of what you could be seeing either side. So this is Kangaroo Island, for instance. So this is pre and post the GAN. But if you are doing the opposite side of the scale, if you're in Western Australia, starting or finishing the Indian Pacific, this is what you could be looking at here with Ningaloo Reef, which is a little bit further north from Perth. So traveling around Western Australia is great because there's so much unique, diverse landscapes like this. But staying close to the city as well, with places like Rottnest Island, you don't actually have to travel too far.
No cars on Rottnest Island.
No cars on Rottnest Island.
But lots of quokkas.
Lots of quokkas. Lots of great wine as well in the Swan Valley region. So again, whether you're a foodie or whether you love the regional areas, the coastal,
you haven't even mentioned
walks.
Margaret River, which is one of my favourite areas, wine. But yes, the southwest of Perth is really cool. And so if you don't have a lot of time to head north, because the other option is all the way up to Broome and the Kimberley. But just taking 4 or 5 days to explore the southwest into the Margaret River region and Swan Valley and stuff. And again, we've got quite a cool little package that you could build into your Indian Pacific. It's our sip and scenery. So we'll drop that link in as well, just to kind of help people start to think about some ideas. I mean, our website's full of some amazing packages, but that's a highlight one for me as well.
Yeah, and I mean we've talked about a couple of options there, but I really recommend talking to your House of Travel consultant, because they'll be able to build out some of your other experiences in places like Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, to make sure that you're getting the most out of that pre and post and the overall holiday. So there you have our 3 big trains, as you mentioned, Jules. But there are a few others around the country.
Rapid fire. Do you want to give us your spin on all the others, because there are a few more that we just don't have time to get into detail today. But
there are, absolutely. So I mean, you've got a few names on screen here. I think if you're at your computer now or over the next few hours, definitely take a look at these, have a little Google search, jump on the House Travel website as well. We've got Vintage Rail in regional New South Wales, which traverses the wine regions like the Hunter Valley, Mudgee and Orange.
That's probably your closest to the big 3. Certainly not quite at the same level in experience, but they do have off-train experiences. It's all inclusive. The trains actually stay stationary for those, but they're probably the closer to the other ones we've just talked about.
Absolutely. And then staying on that top row there, you've got Spirit of Queensland, which goes from Brisbane to Cairns, and then Spirit of the Outback, which goes from Brisbane out to Longreach, which is close to the birthplace of Qantas. You can go to Qantas Founders Museum out there, and there's a lot of dinosaur history out there. Which is
the dinosaur
great.
trail.
Yeah, my son would love that. So hopefully, hope to get out there someday. I haven't done that journey myself. But those 2 journeys, those 2 Spirit journeys up the top there, they're 1 night. So it's about 24 hours each.
So you can do, it's a bit more like, you can get the lie flat beds, but they're a bit more like a seat that lies flat, or you can do the seat. So it's not at the same level as the other trains that we've been talking about in terms of the onboard cabin experience, but still a great way of exploring Queensland, because Queensland's a big state too. We've got a few other little ones there.
There's a lot there. We won't go into every detail on each one, but these are just, you can see the names there. There's a couple of really interesting names like Puffing Billy that you can see there. These are more sort of
Zigzag.
yeah, exactly. These are sort of your day trips or even half-day trips. Some of these are 2 to 3 hours at a time. So definitely recommend checking out those. If you've, hopefully some of you have done any of these train journeys around Australia. If you're looking at your next trip over, maybe you can incorporate one of these as well. That's Vintage Rail there, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
again,
so we have,
that's Longreach.
That's Longreach, getting out to Longreach with Spirit of Queensland.
So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Reach out to your local house of travel, and we will see you for the next episode of Travel Couch at some stage. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.